Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. I was going to take the day off today. I was going to sit back, relax, take the day off. But nope, the New York Giants would not let me do that. We get the presser from Joe Shane and Brian Dable. We got the practice squad being assembled. We had some moves in regards to the 53 happening still today. And yeah, there's no days off, man. There are no days off when it comes to these New York Giants. So, and also, almost forgot, big news. Malik Nabers has finally decided what number he was going to wear. As a surprise to everybody, he gets the number one. Yes, number one was retired, but he did get the blessing of the Flaherty family, and they're allowing him to represent their family and also create his own legacy by wearing that number one. And that's, you know what, that's super dope. The New York Giants have a lot of jersey numbers and good jersey numbers that are retired, and I'm happy to see that, especially with this new age of football, the number one is cherished. It's cherished, and the guy that we believe is going to be a future playmaker, a future franchise receiver, franchise altering, hopefully, gets the number one jersey, and that's just so dope in my opinion. So let's talk about some of the news. So Deontay Johnson makes the 53 yesterday. Today he gets placed on IR, and the New York Giants sign a linebacker named Curtis Bolton, who I don't have a clue who he is. I need to do some research on him. A little bit of a journeyman. I believe when he was drafted, might have been a UDFA. Ended up with an ACL injury, but then, after that became a practice squad guy. So I really don't know too much about this guy. I got to look him up if I feel like looking him up. Javarius Owens was waived today, and he was waived because the New York Giants had only placed one waiver claim. With all the needs that the New York Giants have, we only put in one waiver claim, and that was for safety Anthony Johnson, formerly with the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. So he's coming from a good secondary room at Green Bay. Just a deep roster, and should be a quality guy. From what I'm hearing, he's more of a thumper when it comes to the safety position. And you know what? Why not? Javarius Owens can't really stay healthy, and you replace him with a guy that had some starts last year for the Green Bay Packers. So he has that, he's bringing that experience with him. But why not? Especially for a guy like Javarius Owens. Now let's talk about the practice squad. There was a sense of relief when it comes to the practice squad with some of the names and some of the guys we were able to bring back to the New York Giants. First off, number one guy on my list was Isaiah Hodgins. I predicted Isaiah Hodgins making the 53. They cut him, but fortunately enough for us, we were able to get him signed to the practice squad. I thought we might have lost him. You get cut, you might not want to stay. He decided that he wanted to stay. Thank you, Isaiah Hodgins. We need that type of depth outside of, just the main 53. Miles Boykin also made it to the practice squad. I'm just going to go down the list now. Lawrence Cager, Jacob Johnson, Joshua Miles. And Jacob Johnson, a lot of beat writers had Jacob Johnson making the 53, but we were able to get him signed to the practice squad. Again, Joshua Miles, Marcellus Johnson, the UDFA that we picked up, Timon Fox, KJ Cloyd, who had a fantastic second half in the Jets preseason game. Turbo Miller. We were able to get Turbo Miller on the practice squad. Fantastic. A lot of people, including myself, had him making the 53, but we decided to keep only three running backs. Casey Rogers, UDFA, out of Oregon, defensive tackle. Definitely need some depth there, some help there. Then we had Raheem Lane, Alex Johnson, center Jimmy Morrissey, and then the kicker, international signing, Jude McAtamney. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce that correctly. But that was some of the news today. They did have a padded practice as well. We are finally seeing that offensive line practice together. That's Runyon, JMS, and Greg Van Roten practicing together along with Andrew Thomas and Jermaine Illumino. So happy to see that these guys need these reps together. But unfortunately, we have not seen this offensive line play together in a real game, real snaps. Live games. We haven't seen that yet. But let's get to where the presser. let's just get to the presser. Let me go to my notes because there was some interesting things said in this presser today. So Joe Shane and Brian Dable doing what they do a lot of the times, I should say, at the podium, fielding questions from the beat writers. And I will say this: sometimes the beat writers don't ask the best questions. That was not an issue today. Everything that they asked, I think everybody wanted to know. There was no fluff. Brian Dable and Joe Shane did sidestep a couple of questions, avoid answering or giving us the answers that we're looking for. But again, let's just talk about some of these talking points. So first, I'm going to talk about Joe Shane. And again, the main thing that surprised me was he only submitted one waiver claim. When I found out that we only had were awarded one claim, I thought that maybe some of the guys were picked, but no. Joe Shane only submitted one waiver claim, and this guy is Anthony Johnson. So we'll see exactly what we have with Anthony Johnson. He does automatically go directly to the 53. Did they do it as a special teams move? Possibly, but we'll see what happens. I mean, because he's not going to start. You already have Pinnock, Nubin, Belton. Anthony Johnson is not fighting, for starting reps. I believe this was like a special teams move, but I don't know for sure. This is just me speculating. They asked him about the cornerback 2 spot. Obviously, there were some guys available that could be CB2, but he feels good about the CB2 spot as is right now. They do have, Flott, and they did say Flott was back now. They do have Flott and McLeod battling. Brian Dable did say that he has a pretty good idea of who they're going to go with on week 1 as far as if it's going to be Flott or McLeod. I'm most likely thinking it's going to be McLeod. But he said these guys will continue to battle for that spot. And then also he said, Joe Shane, this is Joe Shane now, if there's any upgrades needed for any positions, they're always looking, to make upgrades, if they're given the chance to do so. So that just tells me that you got to ask the question about CB2. You didn't make a move for CB2, but you're just saying, because they asked him directly were they going to make a move at the cornerback, at a boundary cornerback, and he just pretty much olayed that question and said, if they have the chance to upgrade any position, they're going to do so. All right, and let's see. Just want to read a little bit here. Oh yeah, so they asked Joe Shane. Beat writers asked Joe Shane if he was pleased. Asked him where the team has improved, and he feels like the team has improved in a lot of areas. He said he likes the chemistry, but the team still has to come together. He also said some of the best teams aren't the most talented teams. What does that mean? No, for real, I'm asking you, what does that mean? Some of the best teams aren't the most talented teams. That is probably I can't say one of the best sidesteps, but that is a deflection if I ever heard a deflection. A lot of people are questioning the way this roster has been built. We're going into year 3. There has been 3 off season and still a lot of question marks when it comes to the New York Giants and this roster. And I feel like that answer, some of the best teams aren't the most talented teams, was a deflection, S-tier type of deflection, if you want to say that, but that does not make sense to me. He would not specify what he likes about the team as far as individual position groups, but he likes the group as a whole. So, some sidesteps. Again, he's the one that's in charge of building this roster. If the team does not work out, he's going to catch a lot of that heat along with, Coach Dable. He also mentioned about the practice squad and saying, with the practice squad over the years going from only 6 players to having up to 17 players on the practice squad, he said that's your new depth. He said you figure with 17 practice squad players spread across 32 teams, what's really out there on the market? How many people are really sitting down on the couch when you have so many guys on the practice squad? And that makes sense in theory, but again, it is what it is. So Brian Dable was asked again, and a lot of these are roster questions about the improvement of this team type questions and stuff like that. So Brian Dable was asked how much can Brian Burns help this defense? And Brian Dable pretty much said uh, he brings the pass rush. He brings leadership. He was saying if the team can get other teams' offenses into passing downs, you'll see him shine the most. That's when he'll be able to help us the most. And that's a pretty good answer. Not saying Brian Burns is the best, one of the better run defenders, but when it comes to rushing the passer, he is right up there, and absolutely he can help in those situations. Let's see what else is here. He talked about practice. Brian Dable did talk about practice because he was asked about practice being a lot more lively than it was last year, and he's saying, "Yep, high tempo practices." He said, a bunch of one-on-one and team drills. They treated today's practice still like a training camp style of practice. Looking to move into preparation for Minnesota after the 3 days that the team has off. So they practice today, they practice tomorrow, and then they'll have 3 days off before prepping for the Minnesota week, which the coaches are already doing what they think. But as far as installs go, I'm assuming he's talking about the installs that happen. I guess what that'll be Monday. So starting Monday, you'll see more of the install stuff. And yeah, I mean that's normal for the NFL. You only get 1 week to prep for your opponent, and that's how they're doing it now, getting ready for Minnesota. And then he also said, with the 53s finally being made for around the NFL, they have a better idea of what these rosters look like and how to prepare for Minnesota. He was confident with the O-line, despite them not practicing a lot together. Again, the starting five has not played together, not a snap together throughout all of preseason. So the first time these guys actually play a game, live bullets, will be against Minnesota. I'm not happy about that at all. But those are injuries, and that's the New York Giants. He was asked a question about Evan Neal. Will Evan Neal get any kind of work at guard? And he flat out said no. He doesn't work. He doesn't want Evan Neal working at guard. You know what he said? He said we have enough guards. That was his quote. We have enough guards. He was also asked about Evan Neal possibly being the swing tackle, both left and right side, and he said right now Evan Neal needs to be focused on right tackle. So the presser had a couple of jewels in it. To me, it sounds like they're not quite where they want to be. They won't admit to that, but you can tell, you're looking at the names of the roster and how they're moving things around. They're pretty much dealing with what they have and trying to make the best out of the situation that they have, and the guys that you do have that are talented playing to those strengths. And that's my opinion, not something that they said. Joe Shane was also asked about how does he feel about DJ and the offense, and he said he feels good about it. We heard that the main thing, and this was a quote from Daniel Jones, they want to score more touchdowns, passing touchdown, running touchdowns. They want to score more overall, and that's the theme of the New York Giants this year. Brian Dable wants to put more points on the board. You have the talent at wide receiver. Hopefully the offensive line can keep you upright. The running back game by committee. You have enough players and pieces to score points. Will your quarterback be able to help in that situation? And that's the main thing that a lot of people are looking for when it comes to the New York Giants this year is, can Daniel Jones be the guy to push this team, to the playoffs, or, push this team to the next, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, just get this team to where they need to be. We need to be averaging over 20 points a game, and we do have the talent at wide receiver to do so. And that's something that I expect the New York Giants to do. Not saying that they will, but I expect a team in year 3, a quarterback in year 6, and a hell of a wide receiver room to be able to move and get a lot of points, more points than what we scored last year for sure. But that's going to be the recap of the presser, just some news throughout today's events with the New York Giants. Let me know what you guys think and how you guys are feeling about the New York Giants right now. We're a little bit over a week from game 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. Let me know how you guys feel about those Vikings, man. I was in a space earlier today, listening to a space earlier today, and I heard every reason why and how the Minnesota Vikings can beat the Giants. and not one reason why the New York Giants can beat the Minnesota Vikings. And that's a little hard to listen to. But when you've been playing the way the New York Giants have been playing, when you have a fan base that is divided, when you don't have a lot of optimism with the players on the squad, you're going to get a lot of that type of energy when it comes to the New York Giants. And the only thing that can change that is to win games, is to perform, and is to look good as a team. Watchable football, don't forget watchable football. We need to play like we're supposed to play. We got playmakers. Let the playmakers make the plays. Let the defense make plays. And you know what? The New York Giants should be able to do some things this year. But we'll see what happens again. Talk to me after week 4. I think the first four games will let us know exactly what the New York Giants are going to be and what to expect, once you get into October, November, December, and so on from there. But that's going to be the video. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.